Hi, welcome. I'm Hannah. This is Theology Therapist. Happy you're here. Today I wanted to talk to you about languishing. This was a word that really took off in 2022. I don't know. All of the time has kind of blurred together. A little over a year ago, in April of 2021, Adam Grant, an organizational psychologist, wrote an article for the New York Times that went viral called "There's a Name for That Blah That You're Feeling." It's called Languishing. Dropping the link in the description so that you can check it out. And then he described the middle child of mental health called languishing. It is the middle of the spectrum between flourishing and depression. And we find us in the middle at languishing with blah feeling or meh. It's not burnout and it's not depression because we still have energy and we still have hope. What languishing is, though, is lacking motivation, hard to concentrate, aimless, and just a general lack of joy. It's really important, especially as therapists and in the mental health field, it's really important to normalize this. I've heard so many people since the pandemic began having difficulty concentrating and just this sort of sense of joylessness, like the things don't hold the interest that they used to hold. Clients have said to me, I feel disconnected, but I feel meh about seeing friends or doing what I need to do to make new friends. Even myself during the pandemic. It's happened when I've noticed I've gotten really comfortable in solitude with being alone, and I start to get used to not seeing anybody anymore. I then, finish my work week and it happens on the weekend that I just cry without knowing why. And this is really confusing for my partner, by the way. Not to mention myself. So I think that sense of and I've had countless people talk to me about crying and not knowing why. And I want to normalize that. Not that we don't want to stay there, but it feels so strange to feel this need for connection or feel this absence of joy or interest and not have the motivation to do anything about it. Adam Grant encourages us to say more often when we're asked how we're doing that we are languishing, if we are, instead of opting for American toxic positivity of, I'm fine, I'm doing good, thanks. I keep saying this because in many ways it feels like our life has gone back to normal since the pandemic, but it hasn't. Our life has changed drastically since February, March of 2020. When we opt to say that we're languishing, we give others the opportunity to be vulnerable with us as well and connect with us in a meaningful way. It is important to note how to do this with tact because yes, we can skip the toxic positivity, but we also don't want to be known for our negativity. So find a balance. Be honest and remember to laugh with your friends. Speaking of laughing, Grant gives us a few antidotes to languishing in this article. He finds flow is the answer. Positive psychology has done lengthy research on flow state. Flow is defined as losing track of time or sense of self in a meaningful challenge or a momentary bond. So flow state is when you lose track of time and when you lose sense of yourself in a meaningful challenge or a momentary bond. Okay, so how to achieve flow state? There are a couple of ways. First, seeking out new challenges, meaningful work, and enjoyable experiences. These help us tap into that flow state. Next, we have uninterrupted time. So we need to give ourselves, we don't want to try a new challenge for like 20 minutes, right? And only give ourselves 20 minutes to do that. That's not going to allow us to tap into that flow state, right? We want to give ourselves small goals. So it might be, establishing a meditation practice. This could be a new challenge that you're taking on. The small goal is going to be to start with something like 5 minutes. And 5 minutes when you're not, you know, a meditator, is going to feel like a really long time. And so it may allow you to get into like inch into a flow state, right? So that over time you can extend that, and that process, as it extends, it's easier to actually truly lose sense of self and time in, say, meditation. If this is you, if you find yourself languishing, name it. Naming it is the first step. Research has shown over and over that when we label how we're feeling, it actually improves our emotional state. And that's because when we are naming something, when we're labeling it, we are indirectly acknowledging it. We're accepting it, right? If I'm saying I'm languishing, I'm not resisting that. I'm accepting that. So naming it is the first step. Second is to block out uninterrupted chunks of time. So if I want to do, sometimes it's really easy for me to get into a flow state when I'm doing creative journaling. When I do that, it's not something that I pull out at the end of the workday, because it feels like a big kind of endeavor. It feels like a big upheaval. Looking over there because all of my like creative journaling stuff is over there. So I'm not going to pull it out at the end of the workday. That's when I'm going to get my knitting, for example. That's easy, it's, you know, whatever. But I'm going to wait until I know that I'm going to have, you know, maybe a few hours, right? I know I'm going to have a few hours, so I don't have to like check the clock and make sure I'm not making too much of a mess, and I can just like begin it. And so that's the second step for tapping into flow state. The third step is to celebrate the small wins, right? If meditation is your thing, then celebrating the 5 minutes. If the creative journaling is my thing, then I'm going to celebrate when I finish a journal. And even if it, I don't know, maybe it doesn't look like the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen. These are sort of silly examples. Maybe flow state is when you're surfing. I've heard that before. So maybe celebrating the small win is when you're able to get up on the board, or when you ride your first wave, or right? So celebrate the small wins. And then lastly, when appropriate, seek challenges, meaningful work, and enjoyable experiences. When you are enjoying something, when you're doing something new, when something you're doing feels meaningful, it's way easier for you to tap into that flow state, because it brings you out of the normal day-to-day experience and into something new and different. So I just wanted to talk today a little bit about languishing and what to do about it, how to get out of it, because I find even for myself at this point in life, in this stage in the pandemic, that languishing is probably the thing that most adequately describes a lot of my experience or my day-to-day life. So if you've tried any new experiences, if you've ever feel like you've tapped into flow state before, leave me a comment, let me know. And if you are feeling like you're languishing and you just don't know what to do about it, I encourage you to reach out to your local clergy or therapist. If you're in Massachusetts and you would like to connect with me, I'll drop a link in the description so you can schedule an initial consult. I hope that you are well, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.